So now we'll come to voters list. Once the constituencies are designed, the next step is to decide who can and who cannot vote. These decisions cannot be left to anyone till the last day in a democratic election. The list of those who are eligible to vote is prepared much before the election and given to everyone. So it's not a last minute thing. People know that whether they're eligible to vote or not much before the elections are held. This list is officially called the electoral roll. So the list of any constituency or anything, who can vote or who cannot vote in a particular area, that's called the electoral roll, and that's prepared much before the election. And it is also known as voters list in a more common word. Like we say for we use word seat for assembly constituency. This is an important step, for it is linked to the first condition of a democratic election. Everyone should get an equal opportunity to choose representatives. In chapter 1 we read about the principle of universal adult franchise in practice. So we've talked about this universal adult franchise a lot of times, and it simply means that everyone should have one vote and each which should have equal value. No one should be denied the right to vote without a good reason. Different citizens differ from from one another in many ways. Some are rich, some are poor, some are highly educated, some are not so educated or not educated at all. Some are kind, others are not so kind, but all of them are human beings with their own needs and views. We all are, whether we are rich, poor, good, bad, and everything, but we have our own needs and we all have our different opinions and views on things. This is why all of them deserves to have an equal say in the decisions that affect them. In a country, all the citizens aged 18 years and above can vote in an election. So that's the eligibility criteria for voting in India, that you should be 18 years or above that to vote. Every citizen has the right to vote regardless of his of her caste, religion, gender. So there is no discrimination in voting. Some criminals and persons with unsound mind can be denied the right to vote, but only in rare situations. So there's nobody that is denied the vote of sorry, the right to vote, except in, it is very rare, very rare that somebody is denied to vote. Maybe they are of unsound mind, um, or so. Okay, so this is the map of India you can see in front of you. So here it's shown Lok Sabha constituencies. Total constituencies 554. We've discussed it enough times, what it means and what it not. Okay. Then okay, it is 5 in total. There are 545 for 545 seats. Okay, but to be elected there are only 540 seats, because the two seats, which makes it 545, they are chosen, they are for the Anglo Indian, and we'll discuss it later. So these are the general seats. All the ones in the which does not have any color, these are the generals, constituencies for not reserved, what I mean. And this the orange one, these are reserved for scheduled castes. You can see all the red ones here, the seats are reserved for uh, scheduled caste, and the green ones, these are reserved for scheduled tribe. So here, can you see, you cannot differentiate between which state is which, whether this state is here or that state. You cannot clearly distinguish, because there are no clear bound boundaries to differentiate between different states. You cannot make out clearly whether this is Haryana, Delhi, or Uttarakhand. You cannot make it clear. You of course know that this, if you're talking about this part, this is Uttarakhand, or we know it like that, but it's not very clear to distinguish. Okay, so you can see state constituency, which state has how many constituencies. And we have Andhra Pradesh, which has 42, whereas we have Mizoram, which has only one seat. Meghalaya has two, so there's a different given for our states. Then here we have for union territories under Andaman and Nicobar. This is Andaman and Nicobar, okay, these ones. This is also part of India, so don't get confused. These one, not colored one, this is also part of India. Then we have Chandigarh, we have Dadra and Nagar Haveli, we have Daman and Diu, one seat. Delhi has five. This thing Sorry, Delhi has 7 seats, Lakshadweep 1, Puducherry 1. Okay, so that's how it is. See the map above and answer the following questions. Okay, is it clear? Wait, the focus is not there. Yeah, sorry. What is the number of Lok Sabha constituencies in your state and the neighboring two states? So, whichever your state is there, you can figure out how many states are there, in how many seats are there. You can look. If your state is Maharashtra, then there are 48 seats, and yeah, so on. Which states have more than 30 Lok Sabha seats? So, which are the states? This thing. s- Um, how many have more than 30? This this has more than 30. This has more than 30. No, 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 no. Okay. So we have one, two, three, four, five, six. So there are 6 states which have more than 30, constituency states in their state. Why do some states have a large number of constituencies? That is because the population size is more here in their state. Why are some constituencies small in area while others are very big? So it's all according to population wise, and then whether it is reserved or not reserved. So that's how the proportion, in proportion to the population, it's done. Are the constituency reserved for SC/ST evenly spread out over the entire country, um, or are there more in some areas? No, of course, it's not spread out clearly. You can see that this portion, this this eastern side has more of a reserved seat for scheduled caste, whereas there are patches. If we talk about a reservation for scheduled tribe, sorry, the green ones are for scheduled tribe. Okay, if I said it wrong in before. So the green ones are for a scheduled tribe. So you can see patch one. This is a wrong way, but I'm just telling you patch as in, like, to make it more clear to you. Like patch 1, patch 2, patch 3, then 4. So you can see, like, clearly for scheduled tribe, you can see, this is the area for that. Whereas for scheduled caste, it's not evenly spread, but yes, it's not very nearby. It's spread out at a larger scale, but not evenly spread out. Okay. So okay, so the area wise, patch wise, so only in very rare situations people are denied to vote if they are of unsound mind. It is the responsibility of the government to get the names of all the eligible voters on the voters list. So whose duty it is? It is a duty of the government to get people who are above the age of 18 years, their name to be registered on the electoral or roll, or we talk about it as voters list. As new person attains voting age, names are added to the voters list. Okay, so it's coming very bright. Names are added to the voters list. Names of those who move out of a place or those who are dead are deleted. A complete revision of the list takes place every 5 years. So every year we can see, like, this year, last past 2 years, we've been seeing, for due to COVID, and people have died. So many people have died, unfortunately. COVID-19 has taken away them from us. And so yes, every 5 years the revision of this electoral roll of voters list is done, and names who are not alive anymore, their names are deleted, and the ones who become eligible, become 18 years of age, their names are added. This is done to ensure that it remains up to date. And why is it done? Of course, just like softwares, in the phone, softwares need to be up to date. Similarly goes for the voters list. In the last few years, a new system of the election photo identity card, that is EPIC, short form is EPIC, which means election photo identity card. Election photo identity card has been introduced. The government has tried to give this card to every person on the voters list. The voters are required to carry this card when they go out to vote, so that no one can vote for someone else. But the card is not yet compulsory. So there is a card known as election photo identity card, but it's not become a compulsory like we have for Aadhaar now. Every one of you might have Aadhaar card, but because it's become compulsory, whether you need it for applying for any welfare scheme, or especially it's become compulsory for applying, sorry, okay, it's become compulsory for if you want to take a welfare scheme which is given by the government. And also Aadhaar now has becoming like it's been accepted in most of the places. So Aadhaar is it's the thing now, but it's become compulsory also because most of the places accepted, government institutions, in schools and everywhere it is accepted. So indirectly it is forced on us, even if we want it or not. But election photo identity card, the government is trying to give it to all the people who are eligible. You can ask your parents, they might have it, but it's not become like compulsory for voting that you have to have it. For voting, the voters can show any other proofs of identity like ration card, driving license. You can also show your Aadhaar card. So the last time I voted, I showed my Aadhaar card. So how is the nomination of candidates done? We noted above that in a democratic election, people should have a real choice. It's just not for in the papers that we are saying it is democratic, and no. This happens only when there are almost no restrictions on anyone to contest. So matlab anyone can contest, there are no restriction. Of course, if you have the minimum criteria which are required qualification for, the qualifications which are required for um becoming standing up for the election, if you have those, then you're good to go. Nobody can stop you from standing up in an election, okay. This is what a system provides. Anyone who can be a voter can also become a candidate in an election. If you are a voter, you can also become a candidate. The only difference is that in order to be a candidate, the minimum age is 25 years, while it is only 18 years for being a voter. So the only difference is of age, that minimum 25, you have to attain a age of 25 years. If you're below 25 years, you cannot stand up in an election. There are some other restrictions on criminals, etc., but these apply in very extreme cases. Political parties nominate the candidates who get the party symbol and support. Parties nomination is often called party ticket. So you must have heard that whether somebody's got party ticket or not, whether somebody is part of a particular um, this thing party or not, where they've been chosen by the party members for standing up on behalf of their party or not. So whenever the next election is around, you'll hear these words. Every person who wishes to contest an election has to fill a nomination form. So they have to fill a nomination form and gives a money which is known as security deposit. You know why security deposit is taken? Because there are so many people who will just nominate themselves, just like that, अरे चलो कर लेते हैं, and they are not serious about it. And that is the reason they have made that, okay, you have to give some amount of security as security deposit, so that only they are able to segregate the more serious candidates. Recently, a new system of declaration has been introduced on the direction of Supreme Court. Every candidate has to make a has to make a legal declaration giving full details. serious criminal cases pending against them. So whoever is contesting in an election, they have to, attain the age of they have to attain the age of 25 years. Okay. And before while they are filling their nomination form, they have to tell about if there are any criminal cases pending against them, then their how many assets and liabilities you have, and of your family members also. You have to tell your educational qualification, how much you've studied, and etc. This information has to be made public. Why it is has to be made public? Because you are going to go into the service of people, and they should know your background, your your liabilities, your assets, they'll your educational qualification. That is, why these informations are taken. These are taken to, so that the citizens, we, you, me, take a informed choice. We make an informed choice, so that whenever, after whenever elections are there, we know that we knew about. What if we come to hear something bad, or this person was a criminal after we've elected him as our representative? Would you like it? No, of course not. You wouldn't like it. He can get you killed the next day, or somebody of your relative or in your nearby locality, if he knows that he has a criminal nature and everything. Just not before the elections, but after the elections, if we come to know, we'll have no choice. We'll have to wait for 5 years to again change him, remove him. So that's not how to. That is why, because it's in the this being a representative, it is this in the service of people. That is why this information, educational assets, liability, criminal cases, all have to be made public. This provides an opportunity to the voters to make their choice on the basis of information provided by the candidates. So what are the educational qualification for candidates? We'll see here. Why is there no educational qualification for holding such an important position, when some kind of educational qualification is needed for any other job? When we are saying that you have to tell how much you've studied and everything, but if you've not studied, then also it is fine. You've not studied, then also it's fine. Well, if you don't have much education, then also it's fine. And then there comes a question that why not, why education is not a major criteria for a job which is of so much importance. We have all the educational qualification. Even if you try to, like, fill some of the examinations forms, they'll say only students who have marks above 60%, they are allowed to fill. If you have marks below 55%, you cannot sit for the exam. So there's so many strict rules in various institutions. So why not have an educational criteria for standing up in an election? So educational qualifications are not relevant to all kinds of jobs. The relevant qualification for selection to the Indian cricket team, for example, is not the attainment of educational degree, but the ability to play cricket well. So the reason here that states that, see, for every field, you need to have different skills to play, or to be fit in that particular field. For example, you will see, okay, you we've already seen, in the last August 2021, we had Olympics. The person who got our first gold medal in athletics, Mr. Neeraj Chopra. In one of his interviews, he was asked that if you were not a javelin thrower today, what would you have been? Then he smiles, and he just says that अगर मैं ये नहीं करता तो गांव गांव में भैंसों को डंडा मार के चला रहा होता. So this is simplicity. Of course it points out to that, and it also points out to the to this important question, that do we need education qualification for everything? We do not need that. Every To play cricket, you do not need to be 10th pass. You need to know how to play cricket. To throw a javelin, you do not need to know English. You do not need to have a first division pass certificate in college and everything. You need to know how to play it. You need to know the rules of a particular game. So that is what we are referring to it, that why is it unnecessary, not necessary to have educational qualification, because you're going to hold such an important seat. MLA or MP is the ability to understand people's concern, because being a representative, what you need is you need to be understanding that what people want, what are their concern problems, and to represent their interest. Whether they can do so or not is examined by lakhs of examiners, their voters, every 5 years. And whether you know how to play or not, we'll see. You will give us results, and if you don't know, we'll remove you. The same goes for games and cricket. For example, all the players who are in the present Indian cricket team, they might not be there in the next 2 3 years. The same people might not be there if they do not perform well. Other people who also know how to play the game, know the rules, and they are good in playing cricket, they will replace them. So that's the same similar for our MLAs and MPs. After we are the you, me, your parents, my parents, everybody, the citizens of all the citizens of our country, we are the examiners. And if we see that they are not performing well and they do not care about our interest in falana, we can replace them in the next election. uh, Even if the education was relevant, it should be left to the people to decide how much importance they give to educational qualification. So it depends on you, how much importance you give to educational qualification. In our country, putting in an educational qualification would go against the spirit of democracy for yet another reason. It would mean depriving a majority of the country's citizens to the right to contest elections. For example, a graduate like BA, BCom, BSc was made compulsory for candidates. More than 90% of this citizens will become ineligible to contest elections. Okay, so if we say, okay, chalo, education qualification is to be made a criteria in falana, but what should be the criteria? How much education do you think is necessary for representing us? Some people might have qualification in commerce, some might have in science, some might have in law, some might have in doctorate. What is the minimum criteria that we should go about? And if we do so, aren't we not the are we not taking their right to stand up in an election? We are a democratic country. Are we not taking that right if we put a minimum educational criteria to standing up in an election? Aren't we not doing that? Aren't we? Do you think so? We are doing taking up that freedom to stand up in an election if we put in minimum educational criteria. Do you think so? Think over it. So this is how an electoral roll looks like. This is for state of Mizoram, 2005. Number, name, and reservation status of assembly constituency. This is 17. This is for a reserved seat for Saitwal. Part 15. Number. mm, Details of revision: year of revision 2005, qualifying date 1/1/2006, type of revision special summary, date of publication year, role identification, basic role of intensive revision 2005 integrated with all the supplement preceding special revision 2006. So details and part of polling area: number and number of sections in the past: Tolbang, main village town, Tolbang, RD block, uh, Thinglung, Thulia. Okay, this is police station Saitwal, subdivision Saitwal, district Aijol, pin code 796261. Okay, state code and name Mizoram S6. Um, Assembly constituency number and name 17. This is for the reserved thing again. Serial number, house number, name of electoral relationship, name of relationship, sex, age, epic number. Epic is वही election photo identity card here. So here are all the names given. Okay, so that's how it is. It's for showing you. Match the following features of our electoral system with the principle they reflect. This is being very, let me do it normal. Okay, match the following features of electoral system with the principles features of election system. Okay, so we have to match these. Mm, Universal adult franchise. Everyone who is 18 years of age or older has a right to vote. Representatives of weaker section. Reservation of seats for the SC and ST. Open open political competition. Anyone can form a party or contest election. One vote, one value. Each constituency has roughly the same population. So how now we've seen about what it means to have a democratic election. Is competition good in politics? We've seen the qualifications that are required, and now let's see the election campaign, how it's done and everything. The main purpose of election is to give people a chance to choose the representatives, the government and the policies they prefer. Therefore, it is necessary to have a free and open discussion about who is better representative, which party will bring better government, and what is a good policy. So, why all this? Why all this? Whatever we've read till now is being done, because so that people have choice, who can be a good representative, which policies would they prefer, and what type of government would they like. This is what happens during an election commission campaign in our country. Such campaigns take place for 2 weeks period. These campaigns take place for 2 weeks period between the announcement of the final list of candidates and the date of polling. So this is very important, this 2 week period between the announcement of the final list of candidates and the date of polling. During this period, the candidates contact their voters, political leaders address election meetings, and political parties mobilize. So they contact, they address election meetings, and they mobilize their supporters. This is also the period where newspapers and television news are full of election related stories and debate. You'll see all those news channels representing and reporting only about elections. This person did meeting here, there were so many rallies today, the point of discussion was this and that, and you'll see in the newspapers. This is also okay. But election campaign is not limited to these 2 weeks only. Political parties start preparing for election months before they actually take place. They start preparing for elections even when everything is declared and everything. What was the election campaign like in your constituency in the Lok Sabha election? Prepare a list of what candidates and parties said and what they did. So there are many, we said taglines and everything, which are, this slogans, or as so as to say that they'll say form a slogan, and then they will make that popular to vote for their party and their candidate. Okay, for we in this thing in Haryana election of 1991, we saw Nyay Yuddha. We saw in the starting of this chapter, we saw that it was the slogan which is given, that Nyay means justice, Yuddha matlab fight, struggle, the fight, then that means fight for this thing, justice. Okay. In election campaigns, political parties try to focus public attention on big issues. They want to attract the people to that issue and get them to vote for their party on that basis. And they, try to attract people so that they can vote. Let us to look at some of the successful slogans given by different political parties in the various election. The Congress party led by Indira Gandhi gave the slogan, Garibi Hatao, remove poverty in the Lok Sabha elections of 1971. The party promised to reorient all the policy of the government to remove poverty from the country. Save Democracy was a slogan given by Janata Party in the next Lok Sabha election held in 1977. The party promised to undo the excessive committed during emergencies and restore civil liberties. The left front used a slogan, "Land to the Tiller." Land to the tiller. Matlab, wait, I'll tell you. In the West Bengal assembly elections held in 1977, land to the tiller, matlab the land belongs to those who actually work on the land and not working on somebody's land. Protect the self-respect of the Telugus was a slogan used by N.T. Ramarao, the leader of the Telugu Desam party in Andhra Pradesh in the elections of 1983. And in a democracy, it is best to leave political parties and candidates free to conduct their election campaigns the way they want to. But it is sometimes necessary to regulate uh, campaign to ensure that every political party and candidate gets a fair and equal chance to compete. According to the election law, no party or candidate can bribe or threaten voters, appeal to them in the name of caste or religion, use government resources for election campaign. So if somebody is already in power, like the chief minister and everything, and his party is in power, he shouldn't use a government resources to do the campaign for the next election, spend more than rupees 25 lakhs in the constituency for a Lok Sabha election and rupees 10 lakh in a constituency for the assembly election. So these, with time, of course, these were maybe back then for the 2012 period or so. The amount has been changed, and you can see the updated amount, what is allowed, how much to spend in an election is allowed now. You can obviously cross check. It is more for the Lok Sabha election because it has at a it is at a broader level, and whereas assembly elections, it is as a state level, so it is not much more amount is required, not more amount is required. So these are important, that you cannot bribe, you cannot use caste and religion to appeal, you cannot use government resources, and a minimum matlab the how much money is to be used in the campaign. So in the in the recent election, there was this slogan for the BJP, that ab ki baar Modi sarkar. I'm just telling because here we've heard the different slogans used by different parties. So I was just telling you that in the recent election which Modi government won for the Lok Sabha, it in for the 2014 Lok Sabha, they used the slogan "Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar." So just for that, if they do so, the election can be rejected by the court even after they have been declared elected. And if in addition to the laws, all the political parties in our country have agreed to a model code of conduct for election campaigns. So there is a model code of conduct, how the people who are standing in an elections are supposed to behave for election campaigns. According to this, no party candidate can use any place of worship or for election uh, propaganda, use government vehicles, aircraft, and officials for elections. And once elections are announced, ministers shall not lay foundation stones of any projects, take any big policy decisions, or make any promises for providing public facilities. So these are, these. A model of conduct, these are there so that nobody's as a nobody, no candidate is at a negative I sorry, is at a disadvantage stage, because the person who is already in power, they will of course have more power and more this thing power to take the votes and everything. So that is, we also know, and that is why some of these code conducts are there. Okay.